up, and welcome back to the Week 5 edition of Addy's Action. We started this in Week 3, gave you guys some GPP plays, came back Week 4, gave y'all some more GPP plays, and let's break those GPP plays down, the Week 4 ones that I gave y'all. I actually have it pulled up right now on our YouTube channel, Locks DFS. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm Addy Narang. I run Locks DFS with my two friends. We started this company just to give everyone a chance to win in DFS. I'll take y'all to our lineup real quick. Quick self-promotion. You know, we don't have a sponsor. Might as well sponsor ourselves. But if you see here, we got our website. We'll probably have a new website up and running for y'all, hopefully by the end of this month, but that's just a tentative goal. But we will have a new website up for y'all eventually. But as of now, we have this Weebly website, but it gets the job done. You can go to the shop. You can buy any pass you want. I mean, our current passes that I think our best deal that we have right now is probably this pass in the bottom left. We have the NBA NHL 2018-2019 season combo pass. That's $400 regularly, which is $200 plus $200 for NHL NBA, but we have it marked down for $300 right now. Definitely take advantage of that. That comes with optimal lineups for 82 games both seasons. So it's a grind, and you get a lot of lineups. You get a lot of content. You're gonna get member specific Slack chats that we're trying to really grow and develop and build a community. Definitely worth looking into if you want more than just the free content that we're providing. If you want to see our actual plays, definitely check out our website and take advantage of all of these, man. NFL is down to 150. College football has been eating recently. Definitely take advantage of all of this stuff. If you want to try us out, we have monthly passes, sports bets. We got yearly passes, monthly passes, weekly passes. Try us out. I mean, NHL is starting on the day that I'm recording this. It's currently Wednesday, around 8:45 in the morning. So, NHL is starting today. So definitely take advantage of this because it's gonna be a fun season beyond just NFL. But speaking of NFL, let's break down the last. So Week 4, I gave y'all last week's GPP plays. Let's talk about it a little bit. It didn't go as well as Week 3 went. Week 3, obviously, we had the Calvin Ridley call, which was sick. And that kind of just made up. That kind of was that whole week. It was the Calvin Ridley. It was the Calvin Ridley week, and he was called out on this pod as a good GPP play, and it worked out. But Week 4, not so much. I recommended Eli Manning at quarterback. That didn't really work out. I guess one part of that game that I didn't really, and Eli Manning ended up in my cash games. Odell did as well, and so did Sterling Shepard, who I also talked about as a GPP play. But that was on Tuesday prior to me realizing that he was going to be the fattest chalk. But he did well. He scored a touchdown. But we recommended Eli, and the part of the game that I didn't really factor in was that game just went by so fast. I mean, it was like every single play was either a completion or was either like a check down or a rushing attempt. And it just felt as if both offenses were trying to keep the other offense off the field. They were really consuming a lot of clock. I texted Taylor and Christian. I was like, are any of y'all surprised by how quick this game is going? Like, it felt like it was halfway through the second quarter when a lot of the games started at the same time or just finishing the first quarter. So I didn't really consider that as far as both these offenses trying to keep each other off the field. I mean, this game hit the under. It was projected for like 53 points, and it came in way under that. I believe so, actually. I don't remember what it ended as, but I believe it came in way under that because it was a low-scoring game for a while. So Eli didn't really work out. Sterling Shepard worked out. We had our running back calls. I have him up right here. David Johnson, who did work out. I mean, he scored a touchdown, but it's not a GPP winning week. And then Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard was a guy I was really high on as a GPP play coming into Tuesday, just because I figured, like, I really, really like that Bears offense coming into the week. And I thought Jordan Howard would have some big touchdown equity on that offense. But it's interesting because actually in this part of the video right here, the 20:45 mark, I do a little tight end breakdown for y'all, and I talk about Trey Burton. I was kind of just talking about the 4K and down tight ends, and this is for week 4. And I talk about Trey Burton. I talk about how Matt Nagy, or however you say his last name. I talk about how he's a really smart coach, and he probably knows to attack defense's weaknesses relentlessly, which in this case is their pass defense. But in the same breath, I recommended Jordan Howard. I was really kind of interested in his touchdown equity, and I was talking to Christian about it after the fact when it really didn't work out, because Jordan Howard ended up only getting like 5 carries. Or no, he got 5 carries when it mattered. I think he might have ended with like 11 carries just in garbage time, but he only got like 5 carries. I mean, it was all Tariq Cohen in the passing game, which was so obvious in hindsight. It was obvious in hindsight, and it was frustrating after the fact, because I ended up moving pretty high on the Bears passing game Sunday morning. Like, I really liked the Allen Robinson call that Taylor Stuber had. I really liked the Taylor Gabriel play for cheap. I had him in a lot of my lineups not long before lock. I didn't end up on him, but I had him in a ton of my lineups not long before lock. So I did end up rolling out Jordan Howard. I was super frustrated by his lack of usage, but I wasn't that mad, because I would have been more mad had it not been working, had the Bears not found great success passing the ball. It was just a misread on my part. I think NFL coaches are a lot smarter than I realize, and the fact of the matter is, I mean, it could have worked out. Jordan Howard could have tumbled into the end zone twice, kind of like Kareem Hunt did last week or a couple weeks ago. He could have found the end zone a couple times and bailed me out, but it wasn't the case. And honestly, it worked out for the Bears. I mean, Mitch Trubisky threw 6 touchdowns, and this Tampa Bay defense is going to be one that we exploit probably all season. I mean, they're just a mess. But that's enough. I mean, that's about 6-7 minutes talking about myself and last week, and we like to move forward. So we're going to go ahead and just start with week 5. I got some plays for y'all for DraftKings and FanDuel. I'm bringing y'all 1 quarterback. Actually, let me see. I wrote this down. I'm bringing y'all 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a defense. So that's 6 GPP plays, both sites. Obviously, these plays are for both sites. But yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll start with quarterback. Quarterback is just sort of, I think the theme of today's Addy's Action, or this week's edition of Addy's Action, is just underpriced. It's just mispriced players. And in this case, we're going to start quarterback with arguably, I guess last season he was I would say almost the unanimous MVP prior to his injury, but that's Carson Wentz. I mean, he's sitting at 5,800 on DraftKings, and let's see how far down he's sitting on FanDuel. He's sitting at 7,500 on FanDuel. He's priced with right around Andy Dalton and Matt Stafford on both sides. I mean, he's right in between Andy Dalton and Matt Stafford on both sides. So, and I like Carson Wentz more than both these guys, I think. Dalton's a good play, but I do like Carson Wentz a ton. I mean, we've seen this Minnesota defense get ripped up by the passing games to start the season, capped off by the Rams. Obviously, the Rams are like a whole nother juggernaut, but it has been happening throughout the season. They rank 25th in the league versus the pass. And they struggle sort of in all facets of the game that Carson Wentz kind of succeeds in. I mean, Carson Wentz has a lot of success targeting his fringe options, like not his fringe options. Obviously, his main options, Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, but he has a lot of success targeting other guys, like Nelson Aguilar, who got 12 targets last game. Wasn't that efficient with it, but I really like him again this week. Minnesota ranks 26th in the league versus number 2 wide receivers, 28th in the league versus pass catching running backs. A lot of things that this Philly offense does well, this Minnesota offense or this Minnesota defense does poorly. So I really think getting last year's MVP who would have been last year's MVP at 5,800 at home is really a great steal. I mean, they're still projected for a solid 24 points. I think a lot of that work is going to come through the air. A big part of the sort of fall so far of this Minnesota defense has been their inability to generate a pass rush. I think this Philly offensive line will do a good job holding up Carson Wentz. Minnesota ranks 16th in the league in adjusted sack rate, so I don't think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz. Give him a lot of time to throw, and he's just got so many weapons, so many exploitable weapons. I mean, I also didn't mention Minnesota is 28th in the league, I believe, versus the tight end. Let me pull up that exact number so I can give you that exact number. They are sitting at 28th in the league versus tight end, which is another one of Philly's strengths with Goddard and Ertz. So I love Carson Wentz, and I love a lot of his receivers. Actually, I mentioned another one. later on in this video. So Carson Wentz is probably going to be my GPP quarterback of the week. He's coming in at around 5% owned on a lot of sites. I think that'll go up again. It is 9 a.m. Wednesday. I think that might go up just because he's such a good play. But I could definitely see him in my cash game builds as well. But for now, he is my top GPP quarterback. And by the way, pardon all the noise pollution that's coming in from outside. I live in New York City. I live on a busy street. I mean, every street is a busy street. Mine actually is one of the more quiet ones, but it's still busy. So if it's loud, my apologies. I'll just try and, talk through it. But moving on to running back, like I said before, this is the week of just taking advantage of mispriced players. This player might actually be closer to this price that he's at right now than what we're used to seeing him at. But for week 5 running back, we're gonna go with LeSean McCoy. Now, it wouldn't be a GPP video if I didn't recommend a Bills player, right? I mean, the thing with Bills players is kind of similar to the David Johnson situation in the sense that we just want them to be in competitive games, and that kind of makes David Johnson viable when the Cardinals are in a competitive game, and it makes a LeSean McCoy viable when the Bills are in a competitive game. The Bills are projected to be 3.5-point home dogs. They're projected for 17.75 points. Nothing about this screams play a running back, but we're going to. I mean, Buffalo has the worst offensive line in the league. Pass protection wise, they rank last in the league in adjusted sack rate. Their adjusted sack rate is 14.4%. That is 3.4% higher than Seattle, who's 31st in the league. Their adjusted sack rate, so they're just getting ripped up. I mean, that's why the Titans defense is priced up at 4K. They're just getting ripped up by opposing teams' pass rush, and I mean, the cure to a pass rush, the cure to protecting your rookie quarterback is establishing a run game. I think they're going to try and establish one with LeSean McCoy and Chris Ivory this game. Even if they fall behind, LeSean McCoy is a threat to receive a few targets. I mean, I think last game he got 6 targets, caught 3 of them, only 13 yards. He ended up getting hurt. He is battling a hand injury, but as you can read right here, reports earlier that he should be all right. And I really like him, man. I mean, it's 4.9K. We don't even know how good LeSean McCoy really is anymore. I mean, he is averaging like 4.3, 4.8 yards per carry in super limited touches. But I don't know. I just think it's my bad. I think it's just a misprice. I mean, 4.9K. I mean, this guy started the season at 6K, and sort of he was in sort of the same role. We didn't really know what to expect from him, so I really like him here. Let me go ahead and back out of this though. Trying to pull this to the side. All right, perfect. So yeah, LeSean McCoy, I like him on DraftKings, and his price on FanDuel is coming in at $6,300, which is a little more expensive, but it's still honestly a great price. I mean, he's priced around a few other guys who could get some ownership, but you're getting a big talent at 4.9K, Shady McCoy. And if he has a big game, which I think he'll have one big game this season, I mean, it's still LeSean McCoy. It could definitely be this week versus a sort of average Tennessee run defense. I mean, they rank versus the run. Let me pull it up. I want to pull it up, give you guys the exact numbers. They're good versus pass-catching running backs, which kind of limits his upside as far as that's concerned. But just in general versus the rush, Tennessee ranks 25th in the league. So definitely a matchup that this Bills team hopefully can exploit. I mean, that is where they'll get success, is running the ball with LeSean McCoy and Chris Ivory. So, yeah, I like LeSean McCoy as our GPP running back of the week. Now I have 2 wide receivers for you. None of them are a Philly wide receiver, even though I like all those Philly wide receivers a lot, especially anyone that's going to avoid Xavier Rhodes. So most likely Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar. I like them a lot. But for this video, we're just going to go with 2 guys. One guy who actually made the GPP video earlier, I believe, but that's Robert Woods. Robert Woods is sitting at 6,400 or 6,500 on DraftKings. And he's sitting at, sitting at 7,200 on FanDuel. Both pretty fair prices. for just a guy, I mean, he still leads them in air yards. I mean, let's just pull it up. We're on airyards.com right now. And let me show this to you guys exactly. So he leads them in air yards with 417. He actually just lost the target lead to Brandon Cook, so he doesn't lead him in targets anymore. But, I mean, it's so close between those three wide receivers. We've talked about the Rams, how they leave all three of their wide receivers on the field for 97% of the snaps each. But look at this. I mean, he leads them in market share of air yards, which is the most important statistic in my eyes as far as just looking at a guy's role as a receiver on his team. He leads them in air yards, as we talked about. He leads them in A dot. It means he's got the most upside as far as average depth of target. He leads them in weighted opportunity rating. He's their top wide receiver. He's their 1A. And he's the guy that they kind of look to get going every week. And, I mean, this is going to, in people's eyes, like Minnesota, at Seattle, these are going to be avoidable spots in the fish or in the average NFL player's eyes. They're going to think, oh, Minnesota's a good defense. They were good last year. They're going to be good this year. I'm not going to play anyone versus them because we kind of always just write off people versus Minnesota. That's why I think those Philly players will be under-owned. Likewise, in this situation, we tend to have this stigma where we just always write off players versus Seattle, especially on the road in Seattle. I mean, but if we look at this, we have them projected at 28, rising to 29 points. That's still over 4 touchdowns. This Rams offense just cannot be stopped. If they're still banged up defensively, I think Seattle might put up some points as well. And I think that could really render this game in a shootout. I like this game to hit the over. Vegas apparently likes it as well because it's rising by a few points. People are betting on the over. This game could be one that shoots out. There's an underpriced Doug Baldwin on DraftKings for $5K. You can definitely take advantage of that and run it back. But I love Robert Woods at 6,500, and I think he's kind of going to get overlooked because, I mean, Golden Tate had a big game last week. Corey Davis had a big game last week. And Corey Davis is obviously a good play in his own right, as is Golden Tate. But I think Robert Woods might go a little under-owned right around here. People might pick Jarvis Landry, Tyreek Hill, some of the sexier names, Kenny Golladay. Alshon Jeffrey had a good game, and I think Robert Woods might just be a little underappreciated as some of these ownership projections are showing, and that's obviously regardless of the fact that I think most people are going to pay up at wide receiver, which is obviously a great move when you have Antonio and Julio right here. But regardless, that's the first wide receiver play. The second one, he is sitting at, let me see, he's cheap. He's a cheap guy. He's sitting at 4.7K. We got D.D. Westbrook. Big fan of D.D. Westbrook just in general as a talent. Last week, this is what I wanted to see. I mean, we've been seeing, 4 targets from D.D. Westbrook. He's their most talented wide receiver, and it's not going to be long before he shows that. I mean, he showed it towards the end of last season. This year, he's kind of started as their number 2 wideout, maybe their number 3, but it's sort of muddled that pass catching corps. They all get a lot of snaps, and I think they want to get D.D. Westbrook more involved this week. He's got a great matchup. He was one of the guys who his preseason slot usage jumped. His regular season slot usage has mirrored that. And Kansas is just getting rinsed by slot receivers. Emmanuel Sanders didn't rinse him like we expected. He had a few opportunities that Case Keenum missed him, but he didn't rinse them like we expected. But prior to that, they've been getting rinsed, and I think that continues. I mean, they ranked 30th in the league versus the pass and 32nd in the league versus the rush. This is a bad Kansas City defense. This Jacksonville offense, they're projected for 23 points, and it's not often that we see a team, especially like Jacksonville, projected for 23 points in Arrowhead. So that is a pretty generous projection. Early Vegas movement has some sharp bettors like in Jacksonville in this game, and I think I agree. I think Jacksonville can hang in this game. A big part of this is we see Blake Bortles in the Jacksonville passing game put up really good, almost like very, very good very, very good numbers without Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is supposed to miss this week, which would up the pass game usage in general. I mean, they throw the ball more when Leonard Fournette is out, which ups Blake Bortles' upside, which ups D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole, Dante Moncrief. All these guys have increased upside if Leonard Fournette is out this week, which he's projected to be. And that, again, also makes T.J. Yeldon a great play. But he might end up being chalk. Anyways, let me see D.D. Westbrook's price on on FanDuel. Yeah, he's 5.9 though. I mean, that's super cheap. I like him a lot, and these are all guys that I could see honestly gaining more traction as the week goes on, because I really like all these guys as GPP plays and just as plays in general, as cash game plays as well. I mean, these guys are great plays. Moving on, this is kind of a week that we're gonna looking at tight end. When I was kind of trying to break it down, I think a lot of people are gonna try and get ugly here. My bad. My movie is frozen. Okay, my movie froze, so I was like, has the whole thing frozen? But yeah, anyways, I think this is a week that a lot of people are going to try and get ugly and go cheap at tight end. I think a lot of people are going to try and I saw Austin Seferian-Jenkins being talked about. I think people are going to try and get, Njoku, Vance McDonald after what he did. Even like Austin Hooper. Some guys around here, I think people are going to try and get ugly. And this is the week that I'm paying up at tight end for sure. I think I'm kind of locking in Zach Ertz. I think, and another reason I like Zach Ertz, I think if people are paying up, they're going to bite on Travis Kelce or maybe George Kittle after his big game, or even Jared Cook after his big game. And I like all these guys a lot, but I think Zach Ertz, man, like I talked about earlier, Minnesota is 28th in the league at defending the tight end. They've been ripped apart all season by the tight end. Zach Ertz got a monster 14 targets last game. This guy's got double-digit targets every game. Foles loves him. Wentz loves him even more. And I think he pairs really, really well with our Carson Wentz play that we had. So this stack right here, I love this stack to start your builds, especially for your GPPs. He's sitting at 7.5 on FanDuel. He's cheaper than Kelce on FanDuel. I mean, I love the spot for Zach Ertz this week. So yeah, I definitely think I think he might be my lock to catch a touchdown this week. Moving on, because I kind of want to keep this video. I talk way too much, so I'm trying to keep these videos under like 25 minutes, even though I should be keeping them like under 15. But moving on, let's talk about defense real quick. Now with defense, what do we try and target? We try and target bad offensive lines or teams with high adjusted sack rates. I think one of the teams that's kind of being overlooked as far as a good pass rushing team is the Detroit Lions. I mean, they're second in the league in sacks, or not second, tied for fourth in the league in sacks now, but they're second in the league in adjusted sack rate, tied for first in the league with the Chicago Bears at 12%, which is super impressive. We've seen Aaron Rodgers be kind of immobilized by a few of his injuries. He has like a hamstring injury to go along with some other leg injuries, so kind of the thing that makes Aaron Rodgers so difficult to play against is his ability to like move around in the pocket, avoid sacks, and I think he's kind of hampered a little bit. And I think the Detroit Lions defense can take advantage of this. I think we could see a kind of a similar game like we saw in that primetime game versus the Patriots, where they kind of just took that Patriots offense out of the game by really establishing a strong run game and holding the time of possession. I think we could see that again this week. I think we'll see a lot of Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount this week versus a Green Bay front that you can run on. But yeah, I mean, this is strictly like a sort of looking at a defensive line's adjusted sack rate and an offensive line's adjusted sack rate and finding our favorite matchup. So tied for first in the league as far as defensive line adjusted sack rate for Detroit, and then Green Bay comes in at 25th in the league with an 8.1. Their offensive line comes in at 25th in the league with an 8.1% adjusted sack rate. So that's seventh worst in the NFL. I really like this matchup. I think it's going to be a spot that's overlooked because Green Bay is projected for 26 points. Obviously, it is Green Bay. They can put up points with the best of them. But if you do buy the narrative that Aaron Rodgers is more injured than he's leading on, and that this Detroit offense is a little better than we anticipated, or the Detroit defense is a little better than we anticipated, I really like the Detroit defense. I mean, they're sitting at 2,200 on DraftKings, which is just like, I mean, that's as cheap as it gets. Obviously, it's not 2K, but it's like that. And over here, they're sitting at 3,300, which is honestly a very, very fair price as well. They're tied for the second cheapest defense, despite having the highest adjusted sack rate in the NFL. So definitely a spot to look forward to, and definitely a spot to look forward to getting low ownership. I mean, they'll come in at like 1% owned. I can guarantee you that. But yeah, that's it for week 5 of Addy's Action. I appreciate y'all checking it out. I appreciate all the positive comments. I forgot to say this earlier. As always, I really appreciate all the positive comments on my last video and on all the other videos that we're pumping out. You know, Taylor's videos, our group videos, like our podcast, all of that, man. All the positive feedback we get on that on Twitter and Slack. I really want to say that I really appreciate that. We really appreciate that. It means a lot that y'all are enjoying this content. We love bringing it to y'all. Obviously, it's all for free. But if you do wanna join the team, help us eat. Buy a lineup pass, because we provide, in our opinion. This is all we do, you know. I wake up, it's 9 in the morning. I'm gonna do research all day, NHL research, MLB Showdown research, whatever research I have to do, I'm gonna do it for y'all. So all day, that's what we do. So if y'all want that kind of insight, those kind of lineups, go ahead, locksdfs.com. I showed you how to do it to start the video. Get yourself a pass and join the team. But aside from that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all for week 6. Peace.